Welcome to our deep dive, into the world of STEM internships. Today, we're really going to dig into how to make your internship count. And we've got a whole bunch of advice articles here that are all about, helping students like you figure out how to make the most of this experience.
It's funny. We always hear about those big name internships, right?
Yeah.
Like getting an internship at Google or Microsoft. But honestly, any company with a tech department could offer you some valuable experience, maybe even better in some cases.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It actually reminds me of something I read about federal internships. Apparently, the application window for some of those programs is crazy short, like just a few days. And they're looking for some really specific skills. And they get tons of applications right away from some of the best students out there. So you really have to be ready to go.
Definitely. It's not just applying early. It's about being smart about it. If you're trying to get one of those really competitive internships, think of it like a race. You got to be at the starting line, ready to sprint as soon as applications open. Our sources actually suggest setting up alerts and following the company on social media, even reaching out to recruiters before applications open just to let them know you're interested.
So let's say you found the perfect internship. You've got your resume and your cover letter all polished up, and you finally hit that submit button. What then? That waiting period can be a killer.
Oh, it really can. And it's super easy to get discouraged if you don't hear back right away. But one thing I noticed in the articles we read is that they all talk about the importance of persistence. Polite persistence, of course.
Yeah.
You don't want to be annoying.
Yeah, you don't want to be that applicant who's sending daily emails asking for an update.
Right. But a well-timed follow-up, maybe a week or two after the deadline, that can make all the difference. It shows them you're really interested.
It's a chance to show off some of your skills or your knowledge, things you couldn't fit in your application.
Exactly.
Like maybe mentioning a recent project you worked on that fits with the internship.
Or sharing an article you read that got you excited about that area.
So you made it through the applications, you nailed the interview, and you got the internship. Congratulations. But now you're entering this whole new world, and let's be honest, it can be kind of intimidating. I remember my first internship. I was always second-guessing myself, worried about making mistakes, just overwhelmed in general.
I think a lot of interns feel that way.
Yeah.
Our sources actually talk about some of the common anxieties interns have, like feeling stuck with boring tasks or having way too much work, not knowing who to ask for help. It's a lot to deal with, especially in a fast-paced field like STEM. It's almost like you're stepping onto a new planet, right?
Yeah.
New environment, new language, new expectations. It can be exciting, but also kind of scary, even if you've prepared as much as you can.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where the advice from our sources gets really interesting. They talk about how important communication is even when it's hard, like not being afraid to ask for more challenging tasks if you're feeling stuck with those boring ones, or speaking up if you feel like you have too much to do.
It's so easy to think that you need to prove yourself by just quietly doing everything they give you. But one thing that really stood out to me in what we read was that you should think of your supervisor or your mentor as a resource. They've been there, they understand the learning curve, and they actually want to help you succeed.
So instead of just suffering in silence, you should see it as a chance to show them that you can take initiative and solve problems.
Right.
And this actually ties into another big theme from our sources, finding a mentor.
Oh, yeah. Having a mentor can be huge, especially in a field as complex and constantly changing as STEM. Whether it's a senior coworker, someone from a different department, or even someone you met through a professional organization. Having that person you can trust to give you advice can make a world of difference, especially when you're trying to navigate those tough situations and get the most out of your internship.
It's like having a guide in that new world we were talking about, someone who can help you understand the unspoken rules, give you advice on dealing with challenges, and even connect you with other people who can help you grow.
And it's not even just about getting advice. It's also about having someone who believes in you and helps you see your own strengths. I remember during my first internship in a bioengineering lab, I was so focused on learning all the technical stuff that I completely forgot about documenting my work.
Oh, documentation. Our sources mention that a lot. It's not just about keeping track of your tasks. It's about creating a record of your skills, your accomplishments, what you contributed. You can think of it like building a portfolio to show future employers or grad schools.
Exactly. It can be as simple as keeping a detailed log of your projects, or as elaborate as making a website or a GitHub to show off your coding. The key is to have a system for capturing your work and showing how you've grown over time.
And here's something really interesting. Our sources also talk about how important it is to ask for feedback, not just at the end of your internship, but throughout the whole thing. You should be proactive Check in with your supervisor or mentor regularly and ask them specifically how you can improve.
That feedback loop is so valuable, not just for figuring out where you need to grow, but also for showing that you're committed to learning and developing. It shows them you're not just there to check a box, but that you're really trying to get the most out of the experience.
Okay, so we've talked about communication, mentorship, documentation, but what about those specific skills and experiences that are unique to STEM internships? Our sources get into some pretty interesting stuff here.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that really jumped out at me was how much they emphasize technical skills,
Mm.
especially things like coding, data analysis, and problem solving. These are in high demand in pretty much every STEM field.
Mm.
And an internship is a perfect chance to practice those skills in a real-world setting.
It's not just about mastering the tools and technologies, though, right? It's about
Right.
developing that critical thinking mindset, being able to analyze data, see patterns, and come up with creative solutions to complex problems.
And that's where taking initiative is so important. Don't be afraid to volunteer for challenging projects, even if they seem a little outside your comfort zone. Look for chances to learn new skills on your own, whether it's through online tutorials, workshops, or even just watching and asking questions.
It's all about showing them that you're a self-starter, someone who's eager to learn and go above and beyond.
Exactly.
And that can make a big difference in how your supervisor sees you and how potential employers see you down the road.
Speaking of future employers, one of the things I found most insightful was the emphasis on networking. Going to company events, connecting with people on LinkedIn, participating in industry conferences. These are all chances to build relationships that can help you throughout your career.
It's about expanding your network beyond just your immediate team and learning from people who have different perspectives and experiences.
Exactly.
And who knows, those connections might even lead to job opportunities or collaborations in the future.
For sure. Building those relationships does take time and effort, but it can be so worth it, especially in a field as dynamic as STEM, where collaboration and innovation are key.
Now, we've talked a lot about the technical and professional side of STEM internships, but our sources also point out how important
The human side of things.
exactly. It's not just about the skills you learn, it's also about how you grow and develop as a person. It's about developing those soft skills that are so important no matter what field you're in. Things like communication, teamwork, being able to adapt and bounce back from challenges.
What's really interesting here is this idea that a STEM internship isn't just about the technical stuff. It's about figuring out who you are as a professional. Like, what kind of work environment do you do your best in? What problems are you really passionate about solving? What values do you want to bring to your work?
Yeah, and that can be a huge turning point, especially when you're just starting your career. It's like trying on different hats to see which one fits you best. And sometimes that means making mistakes, hitting some roadblocks, having to push yourself outside your comfort zone.
And that's where resilience comes in. Our sources talk a lot about how important it is to see those challenges as opportunities to grow, not as failures. It's about having that grit and determination to get through the tough times and come out even stronger.
It's like that saying, fall 7 times, stand up 8. And in a field like STEM, where innovation and trying new things are so crucial, being able to bounce back from those setbacks is essential.
Absolutely. And it's not just about bouncing back, it's about learning from those experiences
Hmm.
and using those lessons to face future challenges. It's about developing that growth mindset where you see every obstacle as a chance to learn and get better.
Okay, so we've covered a lot, from how to get the internship to dealing with the challenges to making the most of the experience. But before we wrap up, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about financial planning. It's easy to forget about that when you're so excited about getting an internship. But our sources really emphasize how important it is to be smart about money, even as an intern.
Oh, for sure. Even if you're just making an intern salary, it's so important to start developing good financial habits now. Think about creating a budget, setting aside some of your earnings for savings, maybe even looking into investments if you're comfortable with that. It's all about building that financial foundation that'll help you throughout your career.
And it's not just about managing your own finances. It's also about understanding the financial side of the industry you're going into.
Right.
Our sources suggest doing some research on salary expectations, benefits packages, even the cost of living in different cities if you're thinking about moving for a job after graduation.
It's all about being informed and making smart decisions about your money that fit with your long-term goals.
And speaking of long-term goals, one last piece of advice that really stuck with me was the importance of staying connected with the people you meet during your internship.
Absolutely. Keeping in touch with those people, even after the internship is over, can be really beneficial down the line. It's about staying in touch, letting them know how your career is going. and supporting them as they go through their own journeys.
It's about building a community, both within your specific field and in the broader STEM world.
Exactly.
And that feeling of community can be so valuable, not just for your career, but for your own personal growth and happiness.
So there you have it. You've got the inside scoop on how to get a STEM internship, how to deal with the challenges, how to make the most of the experience, and even how to set yourself up for financial success.
But we want to leave you with one final thought. As you start your STEM internship journey, remember that it's not just about checking boxes off a list or adding lines to your resume. It's about taking this opportunity to learn, grow, and be a part of something bigger than yourself.
It's about finding your passions, honing your skills, and making connections that'll shape your future. And who knows, maybe you'll even inspire the next generation of STEM innovators along the way.
Now that's what I call a deep dive.
Until next time.